Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our 4 o'clock briefing for the latest updates to our winter storm. This starting, this evening through midday Sunday, and then following that, the bitter cold through early next week. As you guys know, that winter storm is now in effect. It started at 4 o'clock on the dot today for the area, and then we did update the snow amounts, temperatures, all the elements were updated. The cold weather advisory will still be in effect tonight through Sunday morning 1 a.m. and then following that extreme cold watch 1 a.m. Sunday to 10 a.m. Sunday. So we do have that cold weather advisory. I told you everywhere here for wind chills ranging from near 0 to 9 degrees. So again, that's starting tonight, 1 a.m. Saturday through 1 a.m. Sunday. Following that, we have that extreme cold watch in effect late Saturday night through Sunday morning for wind chills as low as 5 or 7 degrees below 0 possible. Here are our main points. Nothing much has changed, just a couple details here and there, including snowfall amounts. So we have the snowfall accumulations of 3 to 10 inches expected across much of central North Carolina. Localized areas may see less than this amount or even more, and especially in the far eastern portions of the North Carolina. But it's challenging to really pinpoint and predict exactly where these totals will be, especially with that band expected to set up as that low pressure develops off the coast of North Carolina. Again, timing is beginning late this evening and will last through early this Sunday. Travel hazards still moderate to major impacts expected overnight, beginning late overnight tonight into early next week. Gusty winds, we're still looking at 25 to 35 mile per hour winds, possibly up to 40 as you get closer to the coast. Strongest winds are expected along and east of the I-95 corridor, and again starting Saturday and especially Sunday morning. Impacts for power outages and trees fallen or scattered. And that could start as late as Saturday, probably Saturday afternoon as those wind gusts pick up, and then Sunday night. The prolonged period of dangerously cold temperatures and wind chills below 0, especially Sunday morning. Kids will want to probably get out, go play in the snow. It's going to feel like anywhere from 0 to -5 or 7 degrees Sunday morning. So make sure anyone going out Sunday morning who wants to, is definitely bundled up and doesn't stay out too long. And then the black ice will be a concern for the several nights and early mornings into early next week. Here are our latest 3-day snowfall accumulations, a map for the state of North Carolina. So we have anywhere from 3 to 10 inches expected across much of Central North Carolina. Many of these may see less than this amount, while others sees more. Again, wherever that deformation band sets up, we're expecting it to set up somewhere, the I-95 corridor east as far west as the Triangle area. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly where those higher amounts locations will be. So we kind of did a paintbrush along the I-95 corridor with anywhere from 8 to 12 inches, but we're going to see some lower or higher amounts in that location. But as you can see, the far northwest, we did lower some of those amounts down to 4 to 6 inches, 3 to 6 across the far northwest. And then in the far east, you can still see, in the far east, you can still see areas 8 to 12. Here's a zoomed in expected. So, we always talk about the low end, high end, and then this is right in the middle, the expected amount. Again, snowfall accumulations anywhere from 3 to 10 inches across this area. And we see 4 to 6 in the northwest and, 8 to 10, possibly, up to 12 in the east, and wherever that band, again, that heavy band of snow develops is where we'll see those higher amounts. Remember, these are high amounts because we are going to see that light fluffy snow, and the ratios are much higher than our usual 8-to-1 or 10-to-1 ratio. We're going to see ratios anywhere from 14 to 18 to 1 ratios, and that's why we're seeing these high amounts, because light fluffy snow stacks up easily, as well as we're going to be seeing snow for 30 plus hours at times for some of these places. So lots of time for snow to accumulate, and along with heavy banding across the area. Here are our low end amounts on the left with I should get at least this much with anywhere from ½ inch to 1 inch to maybe 2 to 3 inches in the south for the low end amount. So 9 in 10 chances there'll be more than snow than this. And then on the right you see the orange swath across the area, the light orange and the dark orange. The should not get more than this high end amount. So you do see 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 across the eastern coastal plain. You'll see that these are the high end amounts that we see, and then you can see on the western portion of the CWA across the Triad and southern portions of the Sandhills and Piedmont, you'll see anywhere from 8 to 11. So that's again high end amount. So when we go back, it's kind of meets in the middle. Here, another thing, while all this snow is accumulating, I've talked about this multiple times, Nick has as well, gusty winds Saturday and Sunday. So wind gusts will range from 25 to 35 miles per hour Saturday and Sunday. Some infrequent gusts up to 40 miles an hour are possible, mainly along and east of the I-95 corridor. Gusty winds, while it's snowing, will reduce visibilities as in resulting blowing and or drifting snow. So as you can see, we have on the map, the stronger wind gusts are along the 95 corridor, anywhere out to the Outer Banks we're closer to the low pressure system off the coast. So that's why they have those stronger winds. They're closer to the low pressure system. All right, snow squalls. I can't believe I'm talking about this in North Carolina, but with those heavy bands and with winds gusting 30, 35 miles an hour, snow squalls are intense bursts of snow and wind for a short duration, whiteout visibility possible, less than a quarter mile, and road conditions deteriorate very quickly. So the National Weather Service does issue snow squall warnings when it's occurring or imminent, typically kind of like a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning, and it can trigger a wireless emergency alert to your phone or anyone in the box. So kind of like I said, it kind of looks like a snow squall warning. The snow squall warning kind of looks like a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning. It's a short duration, specified, localized area that we draw out. We see it on radar. We see what's going on. Like I said, very similar to a tornado, severe thunderstorm, flash flood warning. It will be issued when a snow squall is occurring. We think the conditions are happening. We'll see those 30+ mile per hour winds. We have those quarter mile or less visibilities observed, and they'll be usually in effect for 30 to 60 minutes. Again, they may trigger alert on your cell phone. So make sure you're weather aware and have any way to get your localized warnings, because it is a possibility with those heavy bands setting up and consistent winds of 30 to 35 mile per hour winds. So here is our probability of exceeding snow thresholds. So we have the 1 inch on the left and the 2 inch or more on the right. Looks like, everywhere is still generally in the 95 to 100% range, minus the areas across the north over in Henderson. You're borderlining 90% for snowfall of 1 inch or more. The 2 inch is pretty high as well. Going into the 4 or 6 inches, still get those chances. You can see the higher percentages along I-95 and southeast of there. And then just wanted to throw in the 8-inch and 12-inch. That's why we have that range of possibilities, because there is a chance. Here are our temperatures. So we will be moving into that cold period starting tonight. Lows are going to be in the mid to upper teens across the region, and then tomorrow's high, when that snow is coming in tomorrow, that cold air will be pushing in and staying here. And our high tomorrow is down here in the bottom left, highs of low to mid 20s. Maybe Fayetteville will get into the mid upper 20s. Along the coast, you see they're still in the 20s as well for the most part, unless you're in the Outer Banks. But generally will be very, very cold Saturday night. Those temperatures get back into the low to mid teens. And then Sunday, we rarely will, like, it looks like across that area will be in the low 30s, below freezing for much of the area. And if that snowpack is on the higher amounts, we could see lower temperatures across the region. Again, Sunday night, temperatures will be, again, single to double digits, pushing that, and that trend continues. We do have temperatures warming up a tad on Monday, but again, if those, same with Sunday, if those snowfall amounts are on the higher side, we could drop these temperatures a few degrees. Again, Monday night in the teens. And then finally, Tuesday and Wednesday, we expect to warm up, but if that snow is higher, we'll lower these temperatures. And again, the wind chills for Saturday night, Sunday morning, negative below zero, with those wind gusts of 25 to 35 locally, up to 40 miles an hour, will make those temperatures feel like as low as 5 or 7 degrees. And again, that's Sunday morning when all the kids and parents and whoever wants to go out and be in the snow, enjoy the snow. It's going to feel like very, very cold. So make sure everyone is wearing protective gear and limit your time outside. Again, the extreme cold watch is 1 a.m. Sunday to 10 a.m. Sunday. Nick, you want to take over the timeline of weather and impacts?
Yeah, let's do that. So thank you, Christy. So basically this chart is just meant to give you a overview of when are the worst conditions. And the thing that really jumps out on this slide is the travel, the hazardous travel, and that's basically from the daytime tomorrow through Sunday night, with the peak of the bad conditions being Saturday night. And that's driven by the fact that that's when it's coming down, that will be the time when the snowfall rates are probably the highest. So just wanted to point that out. And then you could see the timing of all the other hazards, basically some of them even lingering into early next week by way of black ice, by way of cold, and subsequent hazardous travel. So be ready for that. All right, this is a website we've been advertising quite a bit, weather.gov/forecast points. We would love to drill down to all of the finer details for every location, but from this briefing standpoint, it's hard for us to do that. So we would encourage you to make use of forecast points, because that really just allows you to drill down to your street level and get the exact details. If anybody needs a demo, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll help walk you through that. All right, so just wrapping it up, the winter storm warning's in effect, the cold weather advisory is in effect, 3 to 8 inches, 3 to 10 inches. Again, the goalposts are pretty wide on this one. They are. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's going to be some places that see. Let's put it this way: there's going to be a lot of kids who are disappointed in a lot of places across Central North Carolina. They're going to be like, "Well, wait a minute! I thought we were getting a foot of snow. We have what, 2 inches of snow?" There's going to be folks disappointed. But then there's going to be places where folks are looking at the snow and saying, "I thought we were getting 6. What are we doing with 10 inches of snow?" So those, even when we're less than a day out, it's still hard to pinpoint where those places that get less and where those places that get more are located, just because this is so banded in nature, or will be. And we've basically got 2 weather systems that are driving this storm system. And I really would have liked for those 2 systems to combine, and then it would have been a lot simpler. This forecast would be a lot easier if the upper low was a little bit further east, teaming up with the surface low, but they're still so far apart right now that they're basically driving two different areas of precip. You have one area coming in from the west, you have one area coming up from the southeast, and what's going to happen in the middle? You know, that's the point why we show probabilistic, because if I back up here to our probabilistic snow, right there, you see this little dip right here in this snow amount. If there was one area where people were disappointed that they didn't get as much snow as predicted, that's probably the area that would get it, right in that triangle. And you know, if you use our probabilistic forecast information, that's the whole purpose of probabilistic, to show you if things kind of go off the rails low or if things go off the rails high, that's what it could be. So, you know, if it's this area right here that I highlighted that at least the models are suggesting might be, you know, might not get as much as what we earlier predicted, because basically you have one big area of precip here coming in from the west, another big area of precip coming up from the southeast. And, you know, if these two systems would have been in better timing, then you would have seen a more uniform precip distribution, but they're not. So we're going to have to see if the thing coming in from the west can deliver the kind of snow in this triangle area. Ironically, it's a triangle, and the triangle area might actually be the part that doesn't get as much snow. Okay, so if that indeed happens, it would, you know, if they would have teamed up, it would have been much more uniform. Now, this graphic over here, the high end amount, this does not mean that the triangle down to Smithfield, down to Clinton, back to Southern Pines could potentially get a foot or more. It's not going to be uniform. What we're saying is that a few spots in this color shaded area could see more than a foot of snow. Okay.
Or the band.
With the band. But the areas that are probably most likely to see that are southeast of Raleigh. Okay. I'm really starting to feel that 12 to 14, even in a high end, is probably not as much of a possibility now. Mm-hmm. The likelihood of this ever being a high end is probably too high. If I could redo this map, I probably would have this orange area shaded kind of just like that, maybe even a little further south, you know. So anyway, we might end up being able to do that here with time. So just keep that in mind. All right, back to the slides. I just want to point out a couple other things. Oh, wait a minute, I got to refresh this because I added some stuff while Chrissy was providing this briefing. Okay, so radar simulations. This is live radar in the top middle. A lot of this isn't reaching the ground yet, particularly up near the Virginia border. Eventually it will. 7 p.m. you could see that's probably, I think what happens here is the live radar doesn't show shows what's not hitting the ground, but these precip simulations tend to show what is hitting the ground. You know what I mean? Precip simulations don't necessarily show the precip that dries up before hitting the ground, right? Because that would be pointless to have that in a simulation. So the idea is this activity up near the Virginia border is more likely to start hitting the ground by 7 p.m. Okay, and then by 10 p.m. it's starting to fill in. And again, here's the theme that I've been talking about. Okay, you've got this upper low driven precip here, and then you have the surface low trying to develop here and spread moisture back to the west. You're starting to get a little bit of development on the northwest side of the low. It's almost like you've got this batch of snow and kind of this batch of snow, and then what's going to happen up here in the middle? That's the tricky part, right? And you can see there's that western batch of snow, there's the eastern batch of the snow, there's the western batch, there's the eastern batch. You know, are these northern areas going to get cut out of it? You know, that could happen. So I'm not saying it will. You know, give one more model run might fill that in. Who knows? But the bottom line here is, let me back up here. This is this evening at the bottom. This is overnight tonight to tomorrow morning, and this is the afternoon into evening tomorrow. So you could see that eventually tomorrow, later in the day, this western batch of snow associated with the upper low is going to drift south, okay, and it's kind of going to merge with the coastal system, which is spreading its snow into this zone. Okay, so again, two separate causative reasons. Okay, and it would have been, like I said, it would have been nice if these two weather systems would have teamed up and got together, because then it would have been more uniform. But you know, is this area in between going to miss out? You know, is this area, you know, this area, obviously, you know, this area here along and north of the triangle could very well end up on the lower end of that spectrum. And what do I mean by the lower end of that spectrum? Oh, I went past it.
Yeah, right there. Go back.
There. What do I mean by the lower end of the spectrum?
1 inch.
These amounts here. Now, you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, this is so far different than what we've been advertising. Well, you know, I mean, this is why we put probabilistic snow in these briefings, because we want to let you know what the lowest amount may be and what the upper end amounts could be, okay? Just to kind of, you know, mitigate some of the risk in weather prediction. And yeah, it can't be. Weather prediction still not perfect, okay? It's going to be a long time before it's perfected, okay? So in order to mitigate the lack of perfection, you show what the range of possibilities are. And again, this could all change, and the weather system could maybe one of them slows up and the other speeds up and the other slows down. But as long as they remain separated, there is a risk that somewhere somebody's going to see those low end amounts. Okay, so anyway, clearly, just if you looked at this image and nothing else, you would say, well, it seems like there's some banding going on here, right? And if I'm east of I-95, maybe those are the places that get maybe those upper end snow amounts. But really, that's what we've sort of been advertising here for the last couple of days, is that the further east you go, the better the chance to get into those really high end amounts. And that part of the forecast has not yet changed. Okay, we still think the best place to see those possible double-digit amounts will be east of Raleigh and south of Raleigh, and even more so east of I-95. Okay, so so I wanted to kind of convey that possibility for you. That and then let me just go one more slide in the future. By Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, this will be shifting east and wrapping up. By 7 a.m. it should be done. By noon, we should have plenty of sunshine across central North Carolina. It might be too little sun too late to really melt a lot, but at least it'll get the melting process started Sunday afternoon. And then we'll have a full day of sunshine on Monday to help with the cleanup. Okay. So that wraps up our briefing here for this 4 o'clock.